Caroline and a newfound acquaintance outside the precinct and walking down the street away from the ears and eyes of the Blue Coat establishment. And as the two figures ahead of you break off, you see Arabella turn away to go more into further into Night Market, while Millicent herself turns and begins to head north and back towards Six Towers. The two of you are left, and the Taishiroshi turns to you, and you win some, you lose some. But from asking a few questions, seems like you have quite the aptitude for driving, let's say.
Call that an aptitude? I mean, yes, I'm good with horses if you need a stable boy, I guess. But...
Oh, no. I've got something much more interesting.
Oh. Well, can tell. I'll tell you then if I'm interested, but it was more of the one-time thing. It was a bit short, and I don't think I'm gonna be paid, to be perfectly honest, so yeah.
You win some, you lose some, and I'm more interested in the winning. It's especially when the options are manipulated. I've got a couple of friends that run something of an operation. They call it a enjoyable pastime. The thing is, you're good with horses. How are you with goats?
Or ghost.
Goats.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So the cabs are pulled by these very, very sort of stocky corrosion goats. They're much cheaper to keep than horses. They're and best described as a bad attitude meets a voracious appetite.
Big fan.
I remember that from the book.
Of goats. They lack discipline, and I don't understand why this city keeps using them, to be honest, but not close to try. Though I can't make promises.
Well, let me speak to my friends, and if you want, meet us tonight, Crowsfoot. He takes out a notebook, rips a page out of it, and scribbles down an address of a small, very sort of this very small, very functional cafe type place. Serves basic food, mostly mushrooms.
You're there for sure. Thank you for whatever you did with the Blue Coats.
Well, just let's see if you can pay me back. Like I say, let's make things happen. And as at this point, as the day is now upon you, with the light of the dawn fading and that flickering lights, the flickering of the electroplasmic lamps as the light fades back on, and the lamps themselves on the street kind of burst back and illuminate the districts. What are Morlan and Nathan both doing?
I think I want to know more about how this happened. So I'm wondering if he's maybe regaling me with some of the later parts of the dimmer escapade.
I don't think Nathan would actually hold anything back in this situation because this particular incident wasn't anything illegal. It was, at least this part of it was 100% one of those things where it is just a war story almost about they were requested to deliver an item, they got the item, and they requested that a stolen item be returned. They got the stolen item back, went in there to return it, and the house had other ideas. He would probably mention that they went in with 4 people and came out with only him and one other as well.
Oh.
So the house
Okay.
does live up to its reputation, but maybe not 100% of the time, depending on situations.
So I see you lost 2, and you yourself were almost lost. What about the other? Did they get off relatively scot-free?
To the best of my knowledge, they did. They have family obligations that they attend to most of the time, so they are likely with family and friends at this moment.
There's a clattering up, from the door as somebody makes their way up the stairs. And
Again, he seems to, Morlan seems to tense up a little bit, because while nothing has happened yet, he's still in a place that he doesn't recognize, and there's more people coming up into this second-story room, which I doubt there's a window.
There is.
there is, yeah, they're
Okay.
sort of small.
He is eyeing
open.
the window.
And the door opens, and in walks a Taishirosi, with clearly identifiable as such by the extra 2 eyes lodged in his temples, which have the square pupils similar to that of a sheep or a goat.
Do all 4 have the square pupils, or just the 2 up top?
Just the 2 on the top.
But all 4 are purple.
All 4 are purple, yes.
Okay.
Ah, good. Roland, I was just... How much do you know, actually, about what happened?
Word gets around. I talk.
Alright, then I won't bore you with the details, as I've unfortunately bored poor Morlan here.
It's no problem. I quite enjoyed the story.
Now, I did offer payment, and he kind of looks at Brolin like, please tell me you have something in which I can actually pay this gentleman for.
I just bailed out Arabella, Millicent, and, well, their getaway driver.
Oh.
Opens, sort of goes through his pockets, and this is what I've got.
Oh, Brolin, my friend, don't be so crass. There's more than one way to pay somebody. I'm sure you have an opportunity.
Of course. Their getaway driver seems adept and more a victim of bad circumstances. I've spoken to a couple. I can speak to a couple of friends. See if I can get something arranged. But how we set the coin? We'll need to buy in.
At this point, Nathan's been around long enough that he knows the hideout fairly well. He makes a certain gesture over to a floorboard, pushes his heel into it, causing the floorboard to pop up and twist. He removes the small satchel and we don't have a table, we have chairs, so he tosses it on a chair. We got about 4 coins. Worth.
And I can just about do it. 3 coins. What about blue code? Okay, so put that in with enough money, with a coin to pay off the blue coats. Can probably get a kitty of 10 coin. But it's going to take a little bit of effort. So, how familiar are you with the rather questionable pastime of cab racing?
Not very, I'm afraid. It sounds like a interesting venture. Please tell me more.
It's simple. So many teams running adapted cabs and carriages. Now, this thing is not like the normal thing that you would hail on the streets. In fact, carriage itself contains a small engine. You've got teams of 3, sometimes 4, depending on the terms of the race. And essentially it's a point to point, but when you're on the track, not anything goes, but there's certain things that could be... It's slightly more rough and ready than the more traditional hound racing. Just need something to pay off the blue coats, keep everything clear, make sure that the race isn't interrupted, and to be honest, there's a little bit of opportunity to put in some coin if you want to put in a wager yourself. Now, I'll be behind the organization of this one, so this is the last time that we speak, because I don't like to gamble. Gambling is for people who lose money. I like to have a sure thing.
So,
How does one have a sure thing in a game of chance such as this? I assume we manipulate the odds in our favor?
Absolutely.
This sounds like quite a fun experience you have set up here.
Usually is. I will tell you now. Oh.
Roland, Nathan kind of raises a hand. How often do these cab races go on, and do we know who runs them, generally?
I've been behind them several times. I work with a fellow by the name of Brandon Highwater.
And who is he beholden to? Every stake in this city's already claimed. You know the old adage.
He was a cabbie once upon a time, turned his attention, and now works in one of the factories of Coleridge. Not being a particularly well-paying industry, he takes his own cut from the races, usually from those that put down a little bit of a wager themselves. Now, the races themselves, they vary. It depends who buys in. Like I say, there's an engine in each one of these, and usually in the last stretch, cut the goats loose, fire the engine, and all you do is pray that you're not against the spark rates, because theirs is, as you would expect, quite the piece of engineering. All the races they've done, they've won in the last 200 yards. Of course, the cabbies are also something of a threat.
So, I see two options here. We go for the big short-term payout. We win one of these, make sure the bets are in our favor. Or we do the hat trick. We take the short-term bet and we take the long-term operation.
Now you are thinking the way I do.
Get our own little gambling den going, so to speak. Less of a den and more of a track, but concept still holds.
Absolutely. And one of those things that's best kept as slightly off the radar. Like I say, the Bluecoats don't take too kindly to teams of goats and carriages charging through the various districts, which is why we can do it as occasional occurrences, but certainly regular enough that it maintains an interest.
Of course.
And tonight, well, I might have found us a driver.
At this point, Nathan kind of turns to Morlan. You in, you're out. I can certainly, obviously, you'll be taking a cut of this, as probably a little bit more than the rest of us, just because I do owe you.
Okay. I'm just clearing the waters a little bit. I know it seems you like the murky, but I prefer to have a clear view before jumping in. We are not attempting to win a bet. We are attempting to wrestle control over this particular venture.
Why not both?
Okay, we are attempting to wrestle control.
In the short term, yes.
If possible.
Short term, that will be the majority of the payout for you and us. I want to see the continued growth, however, of our little band of ne'er-do-wells, and there's a slight smirk here. And I was thinking of long-term growth. Whether or not that long-term growth benefits you in the future, that remains to be seen and is up to you at the end of the day. It's not something that is guaranteed because, well, obviously, I don't know your take on this at this moment, but it's something that could be beneficial to you in the future as well, depending on how things go here.
Of course. And I agree, for this venture, I am very much interested.
That's pretty simple.
Never seen a high-profile goat race. It must be a sight to behold.
Absolutely. There's certain rules, but outside of that, anything goes.
You say a sight to behold, all I can think is smell to behold. A large amount of goats in one location. He kind of makes a gesture, draw your own conclusions.
I assume it can't be much worse than Dunslow.
Very similar.
When do we meet this driver?
Oh, tonight. And kind of indicates out the window, and you know, sort of he's referring in the general direction. That a little kind of bistro eatery. About 2 minutes walk.
Well, unless anybody has anything else planned or wants to ask, I say we reconvene later tonight.
So we don't know everyone that's participating. Just anyone that shows up with a team of goats is allowed to enter?
We keep the numbers low, not too much attention, but low enough that it's higher, enough contestants that it still at least has the appearance of being a competition. So as the day goes on and evening draws in, you convene at the bistro, taking a table in the corner away from others, and as the various clientele leave and the night goes on, the chairs begun to get put up on the table, save for yours, you formulate a plan. So if you want to have a quick chat about your approach and so on and so forth, and I'll be right back.
So, as for the approach, very clearly this is going to be a deception.
Yes.
And I feel like we're going to do swindle here. So the detail is going to be the blow-off. How do we get out of this scot-free, so to speak? Scot-free not only with how we rigged the race, so that Caroline, Pale Lady here, takes the gold. I've got some ideas on that. How we're going to, for lack of a better word here, take pink slips, so to say here. We're gonna anger the cabbies about this if we take control of this, but hey, it'll fill up part of our crew map here.
Right. So how would we... What exactly is the concept of taking over this place? Like, there's no, like, deed or anything. This isn't an actual piece of property. This is just like an agreement that everyone is going to show up here with a team of goats and they're going to race around the city. How do we gain control of that?
It's more that you're taking the operation, that you go into business with likely Brandon Highwater. Obviously, Brolin has a stake in it as well. It's that you're taking over an operation rather than a specific kind of plot of land.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to probably convince the guy that's in charge of this that we would be good intermediaries. Take the heat for you if things go wrong. It's in your best interest, of course.
Absolutely, yes.
So the only thing we... at least I'm thinking this is, as stated, a swindle, so we need to think of how we're going to blow them off, so to speak, once we take the gold. To make sure they don't know that...
blow who off?
The other drivers, because we're not going to be playing... We're going to be playing this exceedingly unfairly. We don't want anybody to connect us back to it. So the blow-off here is going to be the most important thing. Because Nathan will be the fixer of this, so definitely tinkering behind the scenes. So,
yeah. Bearing in mind when you're actually in the race as well, you've got that engine for the last kind of burst of speed. On that note, I'm going to say, does one of you want to make me a fortune roll on behalf of Brolin, who is going to attempt to get you a carriage?
I'll roll fortune for him. Why not?
Sure.
Especially with how my rolls have been, you can assume that it's going to be terrible.
I've got a...
You've got a what?
I've got an idea for a terrible outcome.
Just one die?
Just one die fortune, yes.
My streak continues. I rolled a 1, baby.
The two factors are, obviously, you've got your carriage. We'll start with the goat, who is on the very limited budget. Caroline, you are introduced to Eugene, who is a somewhat famed amongst the cabbies as essentially the schoolyard equivalent of being picked for teams. Eugene is always the last goat to be picked because that bad attitude seems to be amplified through 8 generations of choice breeding for the most vitriolic animal that you could ever possibly meet. It's as... And who wants... Lightly the... lightly as a... who wants to go and see the carriage as well?
Oh.
I feel like Nathan would, because Nathan is probably the most mechanically minded, so he would definitely be going. If Morlan would want to show up as well, that's fine.
I would indeed.
Okay, as you do, you see that the vehicle in question, it was called the Hummingbird. The paint is peeling off the sides, and it stands in the middle of a rather unused and forgotten old sort of storage warehouse, and it was the last thing I could procure at late notice. There's sort of 2 doors on the side, very kind of small, self-contained unit. Fairly rickety looking.
Can I go ahead and roll Tinker here, just to kind of give it a once-over?
Go for it, yeah.
More to see how... I would say this is probably controlled.
It's controlled, yeah.
Yeah.
And
standard.
If it's any consolation, it did win the one race that it's ever done.
How long ago was that race?
As Nathan opens the door and water just sort of floods out. Might have had to have recovered it from the silk. They might have fired the engine a little bit too late at the end of the short stretch.
So clearly this is waterlogged.
Waterlogging is your problem, but the engine actually looks to be salvageable.
Well, engine's at least workable. Everything else is just filled full of water. It needs a good drying. We're not going to have time to actually have this wood dry.
It's the inside is like kind of that black mold. The seats the seat that remains eaten away, and just like touching it, you're sort of the water kind of just soaks out of it as you put any kind of pressure onto it.
Don't wear anything that... And I look over and actually finally look at Morlan's style of dress, and I'm like, you're probably okay with waterlogged.
It's been worse.
So, seeing this, it definitely looks like our go-to here is to bet against ourselves. Nathan kind of chuckles. Well, everybody else is going to be betting against us.
With a vehicle like this, I'm sure the odds will be great. In our favor, I mean. Betting odds, that is.
And since this is still before the score, we haven't made an engagement roll yet. I guess this is the time that Nathan would probably start getting to work on that engine to make sure it does 100% work, at the very least.
Yeah, go for it. Maybe the check.
Okay.
Sorry, just mute my stuff by mistake, like an idiot.
Okay.
So where does the track go through? Like, how many districts does it go through?
So it's point to point, and it is
I'm gonna resist that. I'm so tired of my rolls. This is insight resist.
Insight resist, yes. So it's a point to point, starting in Char Hollow, going north into Crowsfoot, and then does a single loop around the Crow's Nest, and finishes on the bridge leading into Silkshot. So that's the finish line, so to speak.
Too
stress, but it's as you start work, there's a point of kind of just getting to work on it, getting your hands dirty, and then realizing kind of as you open up one of the main sections of going, and gloves, yeah. And as you do, you see a kind of spark, sort of where some of the cabling has come loose, easily repaired, but it just kind of sends this shower of sparks outwards. And is there anything you would like to do before reconvening? And
we'll probably get more into that later. I don't have a lot of stress, but
So is this the same day from talking about the proposition of the race to then later that night actually doing it?
So the race will be next session. Sorry.
Well, yeah. I'm just wondering, like the time frame, like in universe.
So you would have gone to see what was available. The race will be, so there was the night you met. The race will be the next day, or the next night. So.
Okay. I was just wondering how much wiggle room there was for flashbacks.
Oh yeah, you've got an entire day and majority of the night for just that. But just to get an idea of the competition, let's do kind of a preliminary engagement roll. And
well, I was going to say I do want to gather information, consorting.
Absolutely. So make me that check.
No. I just don't expect me to roll anything ever, apparently. Since this season has started, I've succeeded once, and that was on that Tinker roll before, that 5. I have not succeeded a single time. This is horrible.
I think Roll20 needs an exorcism at this point.
Sorry, say again?
I said I think Roll20 needs an exorcism at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Everybody.
Right, where's
I don't get any information on the other.
I'll say you do get a bit. It's not the information you wanted though. As soon as the word went out, cabbies have signed up.
Okay, yep. Assumed.
Anyone else?
I'm wondering if I can see if there is any like very supernatural interference that may come up. My strange friend is Satara, a demon. So I'm wondering if they heard any whisperings about something beneath one of their counterparts noticed, like just like one of their fellows participating in something as mundane as a goat race.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah. Would that be consort?
You can consort. You could, being the nature of it, you can also attune.
Also, just gonna ping this into chat. Could I add that +1 dice when I gather info about the supernatural?
Absolutely, yeah.
Got it. I will try to tune, because it's less so there. I feel I'm going to say when talking with Satara, there's less so much words. It's just attuning with them and communicating through this shared space in the ghost field.
Yeah, absolutely. Satara isn't a physical. It's not like going to see somebody. It's not this manifested physical being. Oh,
Got a 6.
very, very nice. Okay, so one of the sort of smaller. Give me one moment.
Also, for those that want to know, Satara is the demon of the void sea and storms.
Oh,
yeah. As
nice.
you, let's go into this.
That's useful for me to know. Yeah.
Yeah, as your mind and consciousness shifts, you stand on a single outcrop of rock. Sea crashes around you, waves breaking in from every side, almost kind of like where oceans meet. And looking around, you see that infinite depth with the stars, seemingly in the very depths of the oceans. Whereas overhead, the enormous form of a leviathan seemingly swims through this abyss, and as it turns, that mournful whale song in the emptiness, you see it turns, and part of it is rotten away and decayed. As the voice emanates from an unseen source. You find me again.
I was wondering. I have gotten mixed up with a couple of interesting individuals, and we're about to take on a bit of a caper, and I was seeing if there was going to be any unforeseen complication from you and yours. Could any of your counterparts mayhaps be involved with a goat race?
Such triviality.
I agree. It's wonderful.
But yes, those not bound to me, but to others, of little consequence, calling themselves the followers of Limbo.
The followers... That's very interesting. So do you know anything more about them, or just the disgrace that is helping a goat race?
They look to make a name. More in the frivolity of chasing personal wealth. They joined this.
They joined for personal wealth.
Yeah.
Oh, they joined. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got confused there.
No, don't worry. They need. Long story short, they need the coin. Yes.
Got it. Time's tough out here for lesser demons, I guess. Well, I look up and I say the requisite prayers to survive this great demon without being... Let's be honest, I was being quite rude in a way, talking to something so large in such a flippant manner. So I atone for that now as I start drawing my presence away in the ghost field. It has, as always, been a pleasure, Satara.
The pleasure is human. And with that, everything kind of, those of you that may have been paying any kind of attention to Morlan, you see like kind of his eyes sort of formally fixed with this 1,000-yard stare as if looking into nothing, sort of focus back, and then once again he's in the room.
Can I roll a tune to see if I know exactly what he was doing there?
I will say, what did you guess? Give it a shot. I'll say it's control position but limited effect, because
Okay.
spotting exactly what he's doing is much harder than going, see how you do.
Oh, we already know how I'm gonna do.
No, you got this. Come on.
You got this. I feel lucky about this one. Yeah.
You did something.
He attuned.
He found the ghost field. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Caroline, is there anything you would like to do?
And to try to bond with Eugene.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I just imagine like an old man when I think of Eugene. Like I'm just imagining this goat just has the soul of like a crotchety old man.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Make me a check to see is this.
I am gonna do
I am gonna say limited effect on this one. It's
Tune to the goat.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a sway.
this way.
You
got this.
Ride it with treats.
Nope.
It's a goat.
As you put your hand forward, firstly you sort of draw it back as the horns are just kind of, as it swings its head in the right way, and on the way back manages to just catch the corner of your sleeve and just sort of begins pulling backwards with this until there's a rip. And this sort of it stands there just chewing on the cuff of your sleeve, which has just been ripped completely free.
That's very good, isn't it?
Let's
Engagement roll time.
yeah, let's do any. We'll do a sort of preliminary engagement roll, which is the setup as you, as the next night you begin to make your way to south, to the north of Jar Hollow, and let's ask the questions: is this plan overly bold or daring?
This doesn't seem like a really high-profile thing, so just trying to rig a goat race doesn't seem like a super important. I mean, it just depends how blatant we are, really.
Yeah, I would say it's not daring by any stretch. It might be a little bold in the fact that we're also trying to get in on the main cut of it.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair argument. Does this plan exploit a vulnerability or hit your target where they're weakest?
We're using an absolutely ghetto carriage, an absolutely ghetto goat, and
I don't think so.
Well, what I was getting on is nobody's gonna ever expect this thing to win. So
Yeah.
if obviously, if our plan is to make this thing win, then nobody's ever going to expect it.
Okay. Can any of your friends or allies provide assistance?
I don't think a blood dealer can do anything here unless we start feeding the goat demon blood.
I don't want to try to ask Satara to help. That's not going to go well.
I mean, I have a witch friend,
Ooh.
but I don't know how she could play into.
Witches tend to be just going off the generic definition of witch, they tend to be pretty attuned with like herbs, animals, that type of stuff. So I mean, she might be able to help with the goat.
Or try to mess up other goats.
Yeah, make
that too.
Okay.
Other...
Absolutely. So, and are there any other factors you would like to consider?
I got nothing.
I'm going to say that there is probably -1 because of the involvement of the cabbies, and also that while you've got no one expects you to win, you also have, like you say, absolutely ghetto horse and goat and cart and carriage. So it gives you an engagement of 2. Unless you can think of anything else to add.
No.
Let's do this.
Five?
Okay, so 5. So,
And I don't think this is going to be one of those missions where I need a lot of stuff, so I'm going in light.
good. Okay.
Amen.
I'm gonna go in light as well.
And Caroline?
Light as well.
I will actually roll 1 more die in that case, because... No, it doesn't make a difference, Nathan. And... Doesn't make a difference, it's still counted. So light. As you arrive, 4 other teams have already convened. Obviously, the 2 that you expect, and the followers of Limbo and the cabbies. Among them are also who should we have? The very heavy sets and worn workers that make up the grinders, probably the second. As far as aggression goes, they will probably be the biggest challenge you will face when you're actually on the race itself. And another crew who, as of the moment, you don't know who they are. Seem to be a fairly mismatched group. Likely a fairly young crew. And at the moment, any kind of angle they have is unknown to you, but likely probably less of a threat directly.
You have just finished listening to this week's episode of Blades in the Dark, What Happens in the Dusk, part of the Domain Gaming, written and told by Wyverian and Livespark. A special thanks to you, the listener, and if you wish to continue supporting us, subscribe, like, and share. As always, comments are welcome. Until the next chapter, remember the first rule of a con. Offer them everything for nothing, and give them nothing for everything.